Okay, sure. There was the report that came out yesterday that the Cavs are expressing interest in DeAndre Hunter, who is the small forward for the Atlanta Hawks. They've kind of been linked to Hunter for a while. Chris Fedor reported this morning, which I had heard this before, but Fedor confirmed it, that had the Hawks not traded up to number 4 in the 2019 draft, they may have taken DeAndre Hunter at 5 instead of Darius Garland, which would have been the wrong pick. Garland's a better player, but they've liked DeAndre Hunter for quite a while. He's best friends with Ty Jerome. They won the national championship together at the University of Virginia. And he's another 6'8". He's a 7'2" wingspan, having the best offensive season of his career.
Playing less minutes, too, by the way.
Playing fewer minutes, coming off the bench. He's in the top 5 in FanDuel for 6th man of the year right now.
He'd start for the Cavs probably, right?
Either 6-man start, but he'd be their 3, and you can close with him at the 3 or the 4.
Right.
To kind of solidify the closing
like 28
lineup.
minutes for them right now?
Yeah, 27, 28, in that range. But Atlanta's a bunch of wings, so all their minutes are kind of lower.
They're all the same kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly.
How much? What's the gap between him and Strus?
Less of he's definitely a better defender. He's bigger. He's not necessarily a creator. He's a recipient of offense.
Do they need him to be a creator?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But I dove into some numbers because now Hunter's a target and Cam Johnson's a target. Those are the 2 biggest names, and they are, if you look at the traditional stat columns, they're side-by-side points, rebounds, assists, shooting, pretty similar. Cam Johnson edges them a little bit, plays a little more, so negligible difference. But when you kind of dive into some of the things that you would look into and how each of those guys would fit in with the Cavs, I think one guy's just a significantly better fit offensively while the other guy's a better fit defensively. So it kind of comes down to, do you prefer offense or defense if you're looking to bring someone in for the Cavs? Those are the traditional numbers, as you can see. Pretty even across the board, slightly more points for Cam Johnson, slightly higher shooting percentages, a few more rebounds, but Atlanta has a bunch of guys that grab boards. The Nets don't, so that's negligible. Johnson is definitely a better playmaker, especially off the dribble. But let's take some of the advanced numbers here. If you guys don't mind me nerding out a tiny bit. Let me make this fit in. So, we talked about the corner 3 for the Cavs this season, right? They are top 5 in the NBA in corner 3 percentage, corner 3 makes, and corner 3 attempts per game this season.
Which is funny because early in the season they were near the bottom.
Complete flip. Yeah. And as of late, those have all skyrocketed.
Right, okay.
Cam Johnson is in the 95th percentile of all small forwards, 2 guards in that wing position in corner 3 percentage at 48%. He is an absolutely elite corner 3-point shooter. He's in the 95th percentile. DeAndre Hunter at 38% is at the 55th percentile. So we're talking about a pretty big difference in terms of that particular marksman. And if you look at the Cavs guys who have played the small forward this season, Okoro, Wade, Strus, Niang in certain lineups, Okoro's also in the 95th percentile in corner 3s, but his are considered wide open. No one's guarding him in those. Cam Johnson is as good as you're going to find on the market in terms of corner 3s.
Right.
Pass on drives, that percentage is the other one I want to mention.
You're not getting as many wide opens in the playoffs.
No, but this Cam Johnson is doing this as the number 2 scoring option on Brooklyn. As the number 4 scoring option in Cleveland, I think he could get a ton of open looks.
No, but what I'm saying, just like for Okoro, he's only shooting when he's got an open look.
I don't buy that number as sustainable in the playoffs.
Right.
The other number, if you pull that back up, is the pass on drive percentage, and this one is why I think Cam Johnson's a perfect fit in this Cavaliers offense. Kenny Atkinson wants driving kicks, right, Bo? We've talked about that 100 times.
Yeah.
The Cavs are also top 5 in number of drives per game and driving kick percentage. So get in the paint, kick out to someone else.
Yeah.
Cam Johnson at 48% in the top 10 percentile of all players in the NBA in driving kick percentage, twice as high as DeAndre Hunter. 48%, if it was on the Cavs right now, is higher than Darius and Donovan, which kind of gives you Donovan's at 46, Darius at 47.
Yeah.
So think of all the times they're getting in the lane and kicking. It's also the second highest number of any real
What is Donovan
threat.
and Darius pass on?
46 and 47%. So he's higher than them ever so slightly.
So 24%, is that bad or is that?
That is not only the lowest on the Hawks.
Yeah.
It would be the lowest on the Cavaliers. When he's driving, he's looking to finish by himself.
I like that.
And he's not a great rim finisher at 65%.
Yeah.
He's a better defensive player. He's bigger and gives you a little more versatility in terms of he can play the 4. He's got a 7'2" wingspan, a little stronger. But from an offensive fit, Cam Johnson is the ideal 2K creative player to plug and play into what Kenny Atkinson wants to do offensively.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, I would take Cam Johnson over DeAndre Hunter.
But
DeAndre Hunter would cost a little bit less and probably is a little more realistic.
So obviously the Cavs should go after Cam Johnson.
Yes.
That should be the first choice. Having to give up more should be irrelevant. The only question is, do they have enough to get him? They may have enough to get Hunter. They may not have enough to get. You get Hunter if you can't get Johnson, don't you? Is he worth?
So the trade package that makes sense money-wise.
Yeah.
is LeVert, Niang, and either the 2031 first-round pick.
Yeah.
Or LeVert, Niang, and Tyson. If you put Tyson in there, you got to get a minimum contract back from Atlanta.
Right.
So I have no idea what Atlanta wants. They don't own their first-round pick this year.
Yeah.
So they're not enticed to tank. San Antonio owns their first-round pick. So even if they bottom out here,
right,
they have no. Do they want guys?
And they're a playoff team.
They've lost 8 of 9. So
I didn't realize
they're catering since Jalen Johnson got hurt. So they're on the way down.
Yeah.
But do they want guys that can play now? Do they want future assets?
Right.
Do they want expiring? I have no idea what Atlanta wants.
Yeah, I mean, what do those guys outside of Jalen Tyson maybe? What do those other guys do for a team like the Hawks? I mean,
I don't know, which is why I don't know exactly. Chris Fedor mentioned Okoro being the centerpiece of a package in return. He's an expiring, but I don't know what they're looking for.
So why did you not mention Okoro?
I meant LeVert. Sorry, I meant LeVert. Sorry. Caris LeVert. Okoro's not an expiring. LeVert isn't expiring.
Right.
The other thing with the Johnson and Hunter, Cam Johnson, an elite catch and shoot, 43% of catch and shoot threes this year.
Yeah.
He doesn't get a ton of opportunities in Brooklyn. Like, they stick on him.
Yeah, right, sure.
If he's getting open catch and looks from Donovan Darius and the kickouts they get from that.
He's going to get.
It's incredible fit offensively.
Yeah. I know you said that Hunter's better defensively. Is Cam Johnson's defense better than Max Strus?
He's bigger. Less physical, but bigger.
Yeah. So it's not like he's going to hurt you defensively.
I don't think it'd be a downgrade defensively. I'm not sure it's a massive upgrade either.
I think the bottom line is I'll trade for either of them. Obviously, I'd rather have Cam Johnson. But if I could get Hunter for the packages you're mentioning, even if I have to give up Jalen Tyson, who showed some promise, I think I'd do it, right? And that also, if you trade 3 players for one of these guys, well, now you have 2 spots for buyout guys.
Yeah, if you include Tyson, they'd have to give you something back, so you'd have one buyout spot open. If you
but
don't,
you, could also,
you still have one buyout spot.
But you could also ship Tristan Thompson somewhere if you wanted.
And Hunter and Johnson are both under contract for 2 more years after this year. So it'd be locking him into the cap.
So you have him for next year, too.
And the year after.
Oh, 2 more years after.
They're both under contract.
Oh, so they both make a lot of sense for the Cavs because they're going to hit the apron next year, and it's harder to acquire players once you're there. And those guys are good players. I mean, those guys are clearly your 5th best player, either way.
Yes.
Was Hunter better than Ty Jerome as overall?
I think so,
He's done. Yeah, right. So, whatever.
So.
I mean.
So I'd be in favor. If the rumors and reports are true that they are interested in DeAndre Hunter, I would choose Cam Johnson over DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah.
Cam Johnson's not available. I would like the DeAndre Hunter move, even though I don't necessarily love him as a player. He's an upgrade over what they have and certainly fills some sort of hole in terms of size, defensive ability. He's having his best offensive season, and he's 24 years old.
And, he's young enough that you might think, well, okay, he hasn't been good in terms of driving and kicking, but he's playing on a better team that has a chance to win. Yeah. He's not a superstar. He's going to adjust his game, I would think. I would think any great – to be an NBA player, obviously it's the hardest sport to make because it's the smallest roster. So to be an NBA player, you got to be just a freak. So he's a good enough athlete. He's young enough that I don't think it's set in stone that he's not good at passing the ball. He hasn't been in Atlanta, but he might be – I'm not saying he's going to be great at it, but there's every reason to believe that if you traded him here, that 24% number would go up at least a little.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? And being part of this team and this culture.
100%. I just think Johnson's a perfect fit and would slide right in seamlessly. It'd be a little more of a transition for DeAndre Hunter. But Chris Fedor also mentioned a few other names. And Dustin, I'm curious what you think of some of these other names that
Do you want
Fedor
Johnson? You like you going all out for Cam Johnson if you can get him?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, he's the sexiest one of them all. I think he's the best fit. Atkinson knows him. I don't know. It makes a lot of sense.
Played in the finals.
Yeah, the guy's got experience. There's just a lot of pluses with him. More unknowns with Hunter, but they're both awesome players. We'd love to have them.
Yeah. These are some of the other targets that Fedor mentioned. Jeremy Grant from Portland, Javonte Green, Cody Martin, Chris Boucher, Julian Champagne. How do we say his name? It's not Champagne. It's
Champagne. Obi Toppin.
And Obi Toppin.
We've talked about Obi Toppin before. I don't know. I've heard of the other guys except for Champagne. But you guys tell me what you think because you know the NBA better than I do.
Put him up there again one more time.
Let's get that list back up, guys. There it is.
Yeah,
who do we like the most of that group?
Of that particular group?
Jeremy Grant's a good player. Obi Toppin I like. I don't. The other, Cody Martin, Javonte Green, don't know enough about.
Martin, no, I'm out on Martin.
Okay.
I don't think he's an upgrade. He's He's a Coral, but I don't think he's any
Who's
better
the best
than
offensive player in that group?
Jeremy Grant. But he makes the most money, and he's got a huge contract for the next 4 years.
Is he not even as good? Is he as good as Hunter? Is he better than Hunter?
I don't like his game.
Yeah.
I think so. He's older.
Yeah.
Some people
he's
probably
been
would say
around
he's a little better. I don't particularly love his game. I like Toppin. We talked about him.
Isn't Toppin he's like a bigger Okoro, isn't he?
Like a defensive guy?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a super athlete.
Yeah.
He played at Dayton,
Yeah.
like back in the tournament.
Chris Boucher's a guy, stretch 5, who I like. I'm not sure Toronto would trade him. He makes $10 million, though, so it's a little bit of a weird contract. But he's a guy that if you could bring in is an immediate upgrade at your 5 position that ends your backup big dilemma. And that means Dean Wade can play more of the wing, and you have a little more size and versatility.
Speaking of the tournament, I watched. As you know, I was a huge St. John's fan as a kid, and now they have the best team they've had in 40
that
years.
You watched the Marquette game last
possession-
night?
I watched every play.
Okay.
I
The last
DVR'd
possession was
the Cavs
awesome.
game to get it later. That
game.
game was unbelievable. The thing about St. John's is when it comes
By the
to,
way, they almost got beat by Providence over on
they did.
Saturday.
They blew a big lead against
Sunday,
Providence,
yeah.
but they've only lost one game in the conference. They got to be the best defensive team in the country, if not number one, certainly top 2 or 3. They play everybody on their team. They just run all over the court. Nobody gets an open look against them. They can't hit threes. That's the only thing bad about them. So I don't know if that's going to come back to bite them in the tournament. But they have such great athletes. They get to the basket, and they play incredible defense. I'm having so much fun watching them.
Is Patino their coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Patino he wins. He's a scumbag, but wherever he wins, wherever he goes, he wins. And St. John's decided when they brought Patino back, they're like, we're spending money. We're in New York City. And now St. John's, which
he's a vampire, dude.
He's unbelievable. St. John's, which had done nothing for 20 years, now they're spending money. The Garden's going nuts.
Of course it is, dude. It's just like a sleeping giant there with college hoops.
And they got like a bunch of guys who are. They don't have any, like, not one player on their team, I'm sure, is definitely an NBA player. But they got a bunch of guys that are like, they could be NBA players.
Big East is
they
real competitive this year, man.
It's fun.
I've been watching. Fox does a nice job covering them, so I've been watching a lot of those games.
Yeah, well, our guy John Fanta.
Fanta covers him.
Fanta's awesome.
I follow all his stuff.
He and I text all the time because he knows I'm obsessed with St. John's. They were ranked 11th, and then they beat Marquette, they were 12th. Marquette was 11th. They played
bunch
UConn
of top
Friday.
25 teams, UConn.
Yeah. And just the physicality of college basketball is to me. I mean, obviously the NBA is way better talent, and some of the shots in college are ugly. Like St. John's.
You're also a very nostalgic guy, so when you see like Georgetown playing against
love it.
whatever,
UConn, Syracuse,
all these,
and they beat each other up, and the refs kind of let them be physical. I love it. All right, Anthony.
Before we do that, real quick, shout out to Luca, who's watching the show right now, who sent me the basketball player advanced indexes on both Johnson and Hunter.
Yeah.
Just some percentiles and grades. Defensively, they're actually closer than I thought, but the Hawks' defense has been abysmal this year. So,
torn him down a little bit.
Yeah, I think that brings his numbers down. But real quick, percentiles from their defense. Hunter, 73rd percentile in post defense, 46 as a secondary guy in a screen defense, and against screen and rolls, he's in the 55th percentile. 47th in help. This is just all kind of other stuff. And then Cam Johnson, for comparison, is in the 27th in post defense. So if he gets on a switch, it's not a place you want to be with him. But he's much better against the secondary help on a screen and in the actual
lost
screen.
From these numbers at this point.
Basically, Johnson's
Bottom line is
Johnson's a better offensive player. Hunter's a better defensive player.
All right.